I didn't carry Milana in my womb for 9 months, but in my heart and in my soul, I've carried her way more than 9 months. She's been a product of our years of prayer and years of conversations with God, and she's ours. She's ours, really and truly. Like, she's ours. You know what I mean? And I'm sure you get what I mean.
When I was asking that question, no, I realized na, how did I overcome that? I think by just God appointing me. He's mine. Moses is mine. God qualified me by giving him to me. So, dun pa lang, nakakalma na yung fears ko na, I'm his real mom. Ako yung mom niya. God already qualified me for it. So, he gave Moses to me, so I'm the real mom. And regardless of what happens in the future, my son wanted to meet his biological family one day.
Being a mom starts with really the decision once you say yes. Because people are so afraid to say yes because they want to feel like the mom first. No, you say yes. And then you feel like a mom. You'll just feel that protective side of you, I guess.
Well, I would advise parents who adopted their child to tell their adopted child as early as possible. The younger, the better. And let them say it in a positive way that they're a gift from God.
I think it's teaching me, like I said earlier, just the heart of God is all about sacrifice. And he left the 99 to go after the one. He sacrificed his son to adopt, and learning how to love first with Chloe, and understanding that kind of sacrificial love where it's not about biology and it's about deciding and choosing, and that it's a privilege. It's really teaching me, that love is action. Love is sacrifice.
It's not about just providing for your family. It's not providing for your family. It's about raising the next generation and allowing them to be impacted by Jesus the way Jesus impacted you. And how you model that. And how can you model if you're not home? How can you model and mentor if you're not home?
Actually, we coin it this way. First, we say, bring your mission home.
Okay.
Everybody has a mission by heart, right? I can't figure out what my mission is. And everyone knows, okay, I give my tithes, I give my money, but there's something I want to do on my own. But I can't go to Timbuktu, I can't go to Africa, I can't go, what's my mission? So we coined the phrase. I said, it's very simple. Bring your mission home.
One way or another, God's going to make sure he's going to provide for you, for your needs, for that child's need. Just do the right part. Someone once said, stop asking God to bless what you're doing. Find out what God's doing because it's already blessed. So I think that we all need to look at, okay, let's not look at what's in front of us as far as finances and our circumstance and all this. Let's just do it, and God's going to bless it somehow, some way. Let's just trust God that he's going to come through for us.
So my advice to all fathers out there, and of course to all parents who be parents, is that just be ready for it, because it's not going to be easy. Sure, yeah. But of course, all the fun that you have and the love that you're going to get from your children makes it worth it. And it's I'll do it 10 times over just to have that feeling of of having children who love you and call you daddy and call you mommy. That's priceless. You can't put a price tag on that.
1.8 million of orphans, neglected, abandoned children. If one church could provide one family, I think by the grace of God, we can see no more orphans in our nation.
And we are live. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome to Rohe Foundation's live chat for Orphan Sunday. I am Sonjia Calit-Kakilala. I am a host. I'm an actress. I'm a wife. And, last year I became a mom. And also I'm an advocate for adoption, having welcomed our daughter through adoption ourselves, as you may have noticed in the video earlier. And my hope is this same love will be felt by more families, just like our guests today. We have very special guests this afternoon. It's going to be an exciting time today. But before that, make sure that your friends are not missing out. Share this video and tag them in the comments. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section. And we will try our best to answer all your questions later on, along with our guests. We will greet you if you do drop in the comments where you're watching from, what your name is, along with your questions, like I said. Well, before we start, I just want to talk to you a little bit about Rohe Foundation. What is Rohe Foundation? Well, it is a nonprofit organization that advocates for adoption, and we believe that adoption was God's idea, and it is His desire for orphans to be adopted into families. And our response is to develop programs that provide holistic care for pregnant women in crisis, and to rescue babies before they are abandoned and disowned, and to guide families in their adoption journey. And Rohe Foundation has also been an advocate for my own family, so I hope that you will learn a lot during this live chat this afternoon. And if you're not following Rohe Foundation yet, please like this page and visit our website, rohefoundation.org. There you will find resources on adoption, learn how to get involved, and sign up for an adoption consultation. And you can also watch previous live streams. You may have seen bits and pieces of that earlier in the video, but you can watch full episodes of those live streams, including our kickoff of this year's Orphan Sunday, which is what today is all about. So what exactly is Orphan Sunday? Well, it is a movement by churches and organizations in more than 90 nations every second Sunday of November. And this year, Rohe Foundation is joining Orphan Sunday for the very first time, and you're a part of it. Well, over the past few months, we launched some activities to raise awareness for orphans and adoption, like our chat with Global Director Jody Jackson Tucker. And we also had our Be the Light prayer card campaign, where hundreds of people already signed up, got matched, and are now praying for one child. And today, right on Orphan Sunday, it's very, very, very special because we couldn't think of a better way to raise more awareness than to have another live chat with you guys, and to be joined by our very special guests. You've seen them on the basketball court, you've seen them on your TV screens, and on their widely watched YouTube channel, Alapag Family Fun. And last year on their vlog for Adoption Awareness Month, they shared the story of welcoming home their son, Ian Maximus, who is now kuya to his siblings, Kiona Sky and Kaylin Asher. And if you haven't watched it, watch it after this live stream and prepare some tissues, because I was crying my eyes out when I was watching it. Well, today we are so honored to have them join us and talk more about adoption all the way from California. So please welcome Jimmy and LJ Alapag. Hi, Jimmy and LJ.
How are you guys?
Good evening and good afternoon and good morning.
Good evening to you guys. How are you guys doing? How is new life in California? Can you let us in on some updates about your family? How are you and the kids?
Well, the kids are having a lot of fun. We're adjusting. We're tired.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, we're slowly adjusting to the life here. Yeah.
What have you guys been up to in the past 6 weeks?
It's been hectic. Again, just really getting the family settled in. I grew up here, but I was in the Philippines for 19 years. So just coming back, it's been great to be close to family, but again, having been gone so long, just making that transition and getting the kids settled in. It's great that they love it here, but now that they're doing their online school, a lot of the credit goes to LJ because she's in charge of that.
Yeah, that's not easy. Some of the parents can relate because since the kids are young, Kiona's in kindergarten, Ian's in second grade. You can't leave them yet. So really, I go to school with them. Like I feel like I'm a
Oo
student.
nga.
So
You're the one like super crazy about the modules and all that.
right, and then yeah. So here we're purely online. I guess other what do you call it? Districts, ba?
Yeah. Other counties.
Other counties, they have high, parang they're in school 3 times a week
Yeah.
or something.
Like
But
part-time.
here in Chino, they're completely on online schooling. And even if they do go on regular schooling, kahit na mahirap, parang we were talking about it. I think for this whole year, we'll just continue to stay online just to be safe, you know.
Yeah, and at the same time, the kids are adjusting. So I think that's a great idea. So, guys, for our new viewers, could you please just introduce us to your wonderful family?
Okay, I'm LJ. I'm married to him.
Yes.
To Jimmy.
Jimmy, Alapag, LJ and I have been married. We just celebrated our 10-year anniversary in
Wow.
August.
Yes.
Congratulations.
10 years,
you.
10 years and a lifetime to go. And a lot has changed, having been married 10 years. And, at the beginning, obviously, it was just LJ and I, and we blinked, and 10 years passed, and we got 3 kids. Our oldest is Ian Maximus, who just turned 8 in September. Our daughter, Fiona, will be 6 here in a few weeks. And then our other son, Kalen, who just turned 3, is still awake right now, while the other 2 are asleep, and he's running around.
Yeah, you'll see him from time to time.
I'm sure he'll pop up. So yeah, we definitely have a full house. But again, we're blessed.
It took us a while to have kids. We prayed like for a long time, almost 4 years.
Mhm.
It took almost 4 years, but God was telling us to be patient because he had more than one coming pala.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Oo nga eh.
So as I always say, we're praying for one, and then he blessed us with 2 in 1 year. So because when we took home Ian, 3 days after I found out I was pregnant with Kiona naman, and then Kaylin is a bonus.
Oo nga. Well, talk about the God beyond what you can ask for or imagine, right?
Absolutely.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us today for a very special episode with Rohe Foundation on our Orphan Sunday to talk about your adoption journey and how your journey has been with your family. So can you please, you already talked about Ian coming home and all that a little bit, but could you please tell us how your heart for orphan care began and how Ian came to your family?
Okay. You want me to start?
Yeah, I'll let LJ start.
Okay.
All right.
Because I've always had this, like, for some reason, ever since, I've always had this heart for orphans. Or I always liked watching adoption or what they call it, gotcha videos on YouTube. Like, I used to like watching all that, even before we considered adoption. But I've always had a heart for that. And his whole thing was, okay, let's try to have our own first, and then we can consider. Parang he wasn't completely opposed to it, but he wanted to try. I mean, as a man, he wanted to try first, for us to have our biological before adopting. But then there was a time that I did a show in the province, and then we were actually supposed to adopt a baby girl, but that's a whole another story. But instead of holding bitterness in our hearts with what happened with them, we just take it as God made that happen for a reason, and if it wasn't because of that situation, we wouldn't have found Ian. We wouldn't have been led to Ian, because that's what like all of a sudden completely opened my heart to adoption. And then with him, because our hearts were broken with the first one because it didn't work out, he didn't want, like, he goes, okay, if for you going, because me, I'd go to different shelters or orphanages, not really looking for another baby, but I just found it therapeutic to spend time with the babies there and everything. But with Jimmy, he's like, I don't.
Yeah, I was the complete opposite. We were so heartbroken as a couple because, again, we had waited almost 4 years to have a child. Both coming from big families. I'm the youngest of six kids. She's the oldest of 6, and naturally there's going to be that pressure from both sides to say, how come you guys haven't had children? And we met with our doctors, and they said, hey, listen, there's nothing wrong with either. You just
Which
have
was
to be.
frustrating.
You have to. It was frustrating, but
I
at
know.
the same time, it was just God's timing, for us as a couple and for our family. And so after dealing with that heartbreaking experience with the little girl, I was just more not opposed to it, but I was just like, I'll just go back to focusing on my career, and I'll just kind of pour my focus and my energy into that to just kind of lessen the burden that we were both carrying, because it was heavy for both of us. But then, yeah, I mean, then of course, that whole experience led us to Ian, and man, it's been
Yeah.
it was an absolute blessing. It's something that, I mean, he's been with us for years now, but it's still an emotional topic for me because I mean, that's my son, that's our son. So.
Yeah, well, crazy, because even when I was watching your vlog and you started crying, I was like, oh my gosh, I started bawling as well. It was really crazy, but well, that's amazing, and how God really, when God says no, it really is just a setup for an even greater thing that He's about to do, and just what's so evident about what He did to your family. And I guess I just wanted to ask, especially I guess for you, Jimmy, when you said that you weren't totally opposed to the idea of adoption, but you weren't completely sold out for it either. I guess what exactly did you think that God did to your heart that made you say, yes, I'm for it. We're going for adoption, and saying yes to how God will build our family this way. What was that thing you think that changed in your heart that made you say, I'm going to go for adoption for our family?
Well, Sandra, I think for us, dealing with that first experience, LJ and I dealt with it obviously in different ways. She spent more time in different orphanages and spent time around kids, just again, as therapy for her. And for me, focusing on my career and work. But as time went by, maybe a month or two.
Yeah.
She was just telling me, hey, you should come with me and see some of the kids. And of course, the first few weeks I was absolutely not having it. I just didn't want to put my heart in that position again. But again, it was something that we prayed about as a couple, and after a month or two, I just felt like God spoke to my heart and said, hey, don't hold a grudge as far as what happened in that first experience, and don't be afraid to open your heart, because there's a lot of kids all over the world, especially in the Philippines, who do need to be loved and do need a home. And so I finally told LJ, I said, hey, I'll go with you, and yeah, it went from there.
That's amazing. What about you, LJ? Because you said that you already had a thing about going to different orphanages, and you already had a heart for it. When did you think that it start for you, having a heart for orphan care and adoption?
Ever since I think, because my side of the family, we have I have cousins that have been adopted.
Okay.
We've been open to that. So and I used to be a preschool teacher, so I've always had a heart for kids. So it's always okay. And then I took care of my younger siblings, because I'm the eldest of 6. He's the youngest. I'm the eldest of 6. So parang, I don't know, it's always been there. And then as we were trying to have a baby, it's just I found I really liked watching adoption stories. That was my whole thing. It was just so heartwarming. Even if I couldn't find too much from the Philippines, because in the beginning, now we're more open to adoption, but
That's true.
it wasn't, it was taboo. You don't talk about it. If you know someone that you're not supposed to say it or something.
Yeah.
So I found a lot of videos of international adoption, or kids being adopted from China, yung mga ganon. That's why I said when we did Arvid, because I was like, okay, I'd want to share our story, because for us, for me, it's it's not something you should hide. It's not something, because God God created adoption, and it's
Amen.
creating your family, right? So it's something to share. It's something beautiful, and we want for our kids, like when you say adoption, it's not something to be embarrassed about. It's something to be proud of. It's something. So because that's because yun nga, I kept putting Philippine adoption. Wala ka masyadong makita talaga na
Oo.
video before na about. It's so nice to see the stories, diba, of like parents and kids uniting or like seeing each other for the first time. That's why I said, okay, I want to share our story. And then it was I'm glad that we did, because I have been getting mga DMs. We've been getting DMs, and because of that video, they were able to, like, they've been thinking about it, and then they parang lumakas yung loob nila to to really inquire about adoption or to adopt, or the hubbies. It opened the hubby's eyes because Jimmy talked about it, because he's not the only guy. Usually, I think I don't know. I think it's harder for men to like
Yeah.
to be open to it right away. Kasi diba, parang, oh no, I'm a man. I should have my own
That's
first.
true.
Yeah, right. So because I think because he's open to talking about it, like more people became open about adoption, which is our goal talaga, because there's so many kids that that need families talaga, as in, like, before, when we used to visit the shelters, or even after we took Ian home, we'd still regularly visit the shelter where he was in, so he knows, he's still familiar with the people that took care of him. And then every time there's a baby that's adopted, mas madami nga adopt internationally. So we've met,
Totoo.
we've met two couples na that adopted. We connected with them through Facebook. His crib mate, she was adopted by a couple in Canada, and then they come visit they visited the Philippines, I think, twice na since the adoption, because and they're Canadian, but they want to instill the Filipino culture in her. And then we stay connected on Facebook, and then these other twins naman that were adopted also by an American couple, and we still stay in touch on Facebook. And after this whole COVID thing, we were planning to have a reunion, so the kids could see each other.
That's so beautiful, and I love how you said that adoption is something to be proud of. And it's something that you guys have been openly talking about within your family. And I guess Ian is now 8. He's such an amazing boy. I've seen your vlogs. He's such an amazing boy. And I guess what conversations about adoption have you been having with him? And even for Kiona and Kaylin, how do you guys talk to them about adoption?
Actually, well, with Kaylin, he's still very young, but with Kiona, I think because she grew up. Say hi, Kay. He's busy. Let him know.
Yeah, he's busy.
With Kiona, because she grew up na adoption like something to be proud of. Like, parang we made it okay. When raising them, we wanted it to be as normal as possible. Na parang, but the thing is, si Kiona naman, when what was this? When she was saying, when we were talking about, like, we'd go and visit the shelter where Ian came from. He's like, okay. She's like, well, what about me? Where did I go? Can we go where I came from? I'm like, no, you came from his mommy. She's like, oh, but I want to be like Kuya. I want to parang like, bakit siya? May, someone else to care of him.
Bakit sa chan mo lang?
Yeah, yun yung sabi niya. So how come Kuya has a tummy mommy, like his tummy mommy, and then I only have you. Parang ganun pa yung ano niya. Yun yung mga points for kids. And then with Ian, it's just he hasn't really asked. Well, they just talk about it like parang it's nothing. Like, him and Kiona would talk about it, and he's like, oh no, Kiona, remember, I didn't come from mama's tummy. Yung mga ganong conversation. Anything serious pa na he hasn't really asked, except for nothing really serious. So just say
No, I think
he'll explain to Kiona sometimes.
Yeah, I think what's really helped is that we haven't lost contact from the shelter that he came from.
Okay.
And in the times we've gone, during the holidays to bring different stuff for the children that are there, and he'll go and he's in charge of bringing all the gifts for the babies that are there. but he says, oh, yeah, mama, dad, I was here before you guys came and got me. And like LJ said, we want him to know that, yes, you were here for a little while, but we ask God for a child, and he gave us you, and that's, that means everything to us. So again, we don't want him to feel like what happened to him was a bad thing. We want
Yeah.
him to look at it as a blessing, because he has been a blessing to us. Because
Yeah.
once he came into our life, it's like, man, the floodgates open, and next thing you know, Keon and because like LJ was saying earlier, we went from that first experience that was just, I mean, it was sorry, it was just awful, and
Yeah.
really a heartbreaking thing for LJ and I, and it was during the holidays.
Yeah.
It was during the holidays. I mean, we're talking Christmas and my birthday. I mean, it was
Oh my
so
gosh.
yeah, it was so bad. And then you fast forward to a year later, and we don't only have Ian, but Kiona too. And so it was just, I mean, again, it was God's timing, God's plan for our family, and we're thankful. And like I said, we love our kids, with everything. So
Yeah.
we feel very lucky.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful. Hi, Kaylin. Well,
Yeah, hi.
as you know, it's so amazing because hi.
Okay. Over here.
Go over there
I'll
first.
fix the
He'll
volume.
bring Kaylin.
Yeah.
No, we don't
Well,
have a
it's
yaya.
so amazing. Oo nga eh. Well, it's so amazing because God really has built your family both through adoption and, biologically as well. And I guess having children both through adoption and, having biological children as well, what I guess would be your greatest lesson in this whole family journey that you can impart to our viewers?
I think for me, you hear a lot of people, I guess, inquire or might have questions about, oh, well, if the child didn't come from the wife, it's different. Because we had casual questions like that in the past. Oh, how is it? How is it having, an adopted son and then a biological son and daughter? And we tell everybody
No difference.
there's no difference. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and it's when you love your child, and you love him with everything that you are and everything that we are as a couple. I mean, it really doesn't matter. I don't, and it's something that I hope everyone who's tuning in today can see that, because the whole process made me realize and open my heart to the idea, because again, it wasn't something that I was ever opposed to, but I felt, I guess maybe it's because being from a man's perspective, I don't know, but I was always under the idea that, hey, let's try to start our own family, and if ever we do want to adopt, that option's always there for us. And that's just that's what my thinking was at the time. But again, obviously God had other plans for us, and it changed my life 360 degrees for sure. Because I went from, oh, yeah, maybe later on, and the first time I had a chance to even just see Ian, he came and ran and gave me a huge hug, and I'd never met him before. And yeah, I mean, yeah, it was, there was a connection, and we were blessed that we were able to be matched to him. So again,
Yeah.
it was all God's plan.
Yeah.
That's amazing. What about you, LJ? Anything you wanted to add to what Jimmy said?
Yeah, when he was saying that there'd be questions about like if there's a difference, because when I was pregnant, ano kasi, adoption is more open now in the Philippines, which is good. But there's still some people na like when I was pregnant would say, no, you'll see the difference when you have your baby, when the baby in your tummy gets parang ano ba? What do you mean? Like, okay, so I'm just like, okay, well, we'll see, but I feel like there's no difference. So when I gave birth to Fiona, there was no difference. I was just like, okay, what are they talking about? It's just, yun lang. I just wish na that type of mentality, it's not mawala. Especially for those na haven't experienced it naman, but then they're so
Totoo.
not to judge sometimes. So parang hindi, iba pa rin, iba pa rin. Especially the oldies. That's
Mm,
the
totoo.
mga titas or like I've I minsan yung mga nagko-comment pa ng gano'n, hindi mo naman close na na hindi,
Totoo.
parang okay, yeah, so you know more, parang gano'n. But with us, there's really no
Oo.
difference, and it's like
No
God
difference.
gave both kids or all three kids to us, whether it was through adoption or through me having them. There's God still gave them, and there are kids, and there's no difference. We don't love them
Mhm.
any different. We don't love
Yeah.
either more than the other one. That's just like
Yeah, and that's
yeah.
totoo. And I'm assuming like when you introduce your kids, you're not like, oh, he's my adopted son. These are my biological kids. You're just like, they're my kids. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? There's
absolutely.
absolutely
Yeah,
no
absolutely.
difference with that. Like,
Yeah.
cause our firstborn also came to us via adoption. We still don't have other children, but so far she's our only one. And then when people ask me, where's her real mom? I'm like, I'm her real mom. What
Exactly.
what are you talking about? You
No,
know,
and
but
here's the thing too with Ian, we've gotten so many comments that, oh my gosh, Jimmy, you and Ian look so much alike. I said
No, and
we,
like
we,
people
we
like
do,
imports would get shocked
and
about like
and and
yeah.
and my former teammates that I played with, when I would tell them, they would be, I mean, floored.
Or
They'd be
some
like,
that watch the
no
video.
way, no way. But again, I don't want people to feel like, weird about it or anything. I mean, like I said, he's my son. We love him. I love him, and that's just what it is. But
true.
again, I think the main thing for LJ and I is to, just encourage people who are thinking about it, and who may have questions about it, to look into it more. And if it's really something that God's speaking on your heart, to really, do your homework. And if it's something that you feel strongly about, don't be afraid to take the step, because there's so many kids in the Philippines, and it's something that I learned having been there for so long. I mean, it breaks your heart. I mean, there wasn't a day in the 19 years that we lived in the Philippines, where you don't see kids on the street, and you just wonder, man, I wish that they had a home. And even when we pray with our kids at night, we pray for the kids who are out in the street, that God protects them, that He watches over them, and that they find families. Because I mean, when I think that if our story was different, and that could be Ian out there, I mean, I can't even fathom that idea. And again, we're so thankful that he's part of our family.
Yeah. Thank you so much for saying that. Ang dami-dami talagang bata kailangan ng pagmamahal, lalo here in the Philippines. And you guys even mentioned briefly about how we're just slowly opening up as a nation and as a culture, slowly opening up to adoption because of the many stereotypes that have been portrayed in the media. I don't know, maybe LG have experiences about how adoption has been portrayed in movies or just with the media. Diba? I guess for those who what do you think should what do you think are the stereotypes that need to be broken down in our nation, in our culture, about adoption, so that we could be a more open nation towards adoption? Especially like now you're in the States, I'm sure there are differences with how they see adoption. And I guess what you think should be changed in our culture so that we could open more homes to adopting more children.
Yeah. I think one would be what I noticed, like talking to some people or like that aren't too open to adoption, or they're like, we want to do it, but we're concerned because what about the inheritance? That whole thing. But it's like, but to me, I'm like, okay, well, if you're thinking about that, then I don't
Not for
think
you.
it's not for you, because when you adopt, that's like you have to make sure that you accept the child. You fully accept the child, like
Yeah.
like there shouldn't be any difference. There shouldn't be, you don't think naman na like when you give birth, parang paano yun yung mana, or diba, parang that's one thing.
Oo.
Like to me, it's like, what? No, if you're gonna adopt, that's your child. So whatever your biological children have, should you have any biological children in the future after you adopt, it should all be the same. You shouldn't even be thinking about that. That's like that's one thing. And then like I mentioned earlier, the whole, oh, there's gonna be a difference, when you have your own. That's because it's so, like, at least for us, you can say it's so not true. There is no difference. Yeah.
What about you, Jimmy?
Um,
Anything?
I just think for our culture, I think it would be so helpful for more couples and people who are exploring the idea of adoption to just become more educated and to really just learn more about it. And if there is curiosity, and if it is something that God's speaking to your heart, then don't be afraid to look into it. You know and I say that because LJ was very helpful. And so I would encourage couples, whether it's the husband or the wife, to lean on your partner and find out if that's something that they want to do as a family. To look into it, because again, there are so many kids who need a home, and who need to be loved and need to be hugged. And I mean, if more families would be open to it, there'd be less kids without a home and less kids off the street. And so, again, I really hope that people who listen to our story will kind of, take that discomfort, just, I guess, the perspective of, oh, maybe it's not for us, or like LJ was saying earlier, if you're worrying about what your adopted child would get and your biological child would get, I mean, it's not for you. I mean, you really have to pray about it,
You have to be all in. You can't just be
and fully commit to bringing that child into your life and into your family. And again, I know for our family, it's been an absolute blessing from the beginning. And so, hopefully families hearing our story will be more open to the idea of doing it, and and understanding that we're LJ and I are just like any other married couple who we have our own struggles and in our life, in our family, but at the end of the day, God got us, and He's blessed us with the 3 babies that we got, and again, we're thankful. So
That's amazing. And I guess also, in another thing about stereotypes and the Filipino culture, I wanted to ask about, because as you're very aware, Filipinos, we're really not just one family. We have our extended families. And I guess in your case, was there any hesitation from your extended families about you adopting, or did they say anything negative, or if they did, how would you react to that? Because I had a friend who just sent a question and said how it's her husband's family who's worried about inheritance or whatever, because your daughter is not flesh and blood or whatnot. I guess what would you advise to those couples who would have to deal about their parents or their siblings or their cousins about what they're seeing against their own family's adoption journey?
We didn't really have that. Well, we're lucky we didn't have that problem, because I think from my side, like I said, they're very open to it. We have a few adopted, like, cousins and niece nephews in our family, so that wasn't an issue. They haven't. We well, at least we haven't. We didn't come across.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think from my side of the family, I think if anything, they were probably surprised at first, just because I was the first one in our family to have an adopted child. But once everybody met him, it's just like, okay, well, he's part of our family now. I mean, and I think it provided an opportunity for me to kind of explain to them, the process that we went through and why we did it, and how God spoke to our heart about it, and how we're fully committed to it, and he's a part of our family. And the great part was both sides of our family were completely accepting to it, and everybody's happy for us. And I mean, Ian's part of our family, and
my mom, like, spoiled, like, my mom. like, because those are our only grandkids, Ian, Kiona, and Kim. And then- so they're there at my mom's house every weekend, almost every weekend.
Yeah.
If they could
Almost
be
every
there every day, they'd want it. Yeah.
Well, thank you guys, and well, I'm hoping that will be the case for every Filipino family, that we would all be supportive about adoption and orphan care, and obviously, you guys are using your platform to raise more awareness. And sana, LJ, the next videos that we would be watching about adoption are about fellow Filipinos talking more about their adoption journey, and we're adopting within the Philippines, and will be about international adoption. And I guess
Yeah.
because you shared your story just last year, right?
Yes.
About your adoption journey, and I guess Ian was about 7 at that time. What made you decide to use this platform and become strong advocates for adoption yourselves?
We wanted to wait till he could already like fully understand what adoption is. So before we actually did the video, we talked to him. But like I said, we made sure, because while he was growing up, right after when he came home, we still went to the shelter regularly. We still parang it was normal to him, but like to talk about what is adoption? Why did I get adopted? And that was the year that we had the talk. And then, like I said, ever since I was like, I want to make sure we share our story at the right time, and I thought it would be the perfect time because it was nagkataon National Adoption Month. So we're like,
Oh,
okay, let's do the video now. And then Ian's already 7 and he already understands and all that stuff. Because sometimes they'll also like they'll have conversations and he'll be the one explaining to Kiona na, remember, I didn't come from mama's tummy because my tummy mommy couldn't take care of me. And mama and dada were praying for a baby, and then that was me, and then you came. Parang he explains that to her, so we thought that was the perfect time.
ang galing. And I love how he's so proud of it. You know what I mean? That he's so proud of, well, I did come from mommy's tummy, but they're praying for a child and I'm here with them.
I have a funny story also. There's when he went to his first grade, we got a call from the guidance counselor. And then because Ian Dow got into an argument with a classmate, because the classmate was calling him a liar because he's saying, no, I didn't come from my mom's tummy. Parang yun yung conversation. And they didn't know how to handle. They wanted to talk to us first to find out if it was okay for them to explain to
No, what do you say where he was from?
What do you say?
Then you said I'm from. No, you said I'm from China or something. Or I could be from.
Oh yeah, he wasn't sure.
Okay.
Because, no, he said what country. Yeah. When we had the talk, anyway, he was saying, okay, so where did I come from? Am I from? Did he say? No, he said, Mama, I came from Japan. Like no, he was telling them he was from Japan. It's like, why are you thinking you're from Japan? Because I like sushi, Mama. So he took me from Japan. That was the whole but I mean, like he was explaining to the classmate openly na parang, no, I didn't come from my mom's tummy, really, I'm not kidding. But the classmate didn't believe him, so the school just wanted to make sure that it's okay that he talks about it. I was like, yeah, it's not it's super because he's grown up. It's not like he was growing up and we were saying, oh, you're adopted. It wasn't like that. It was like made it seem normal, like so normal na Kiona actually wants to be adopted also. Parang yun
Oo nga eh.
concept. Parang gano'n. Parang, oh, it's something cool. That's what that's what we were trying to do. And you can't avoid them when they grow up. There's still some bad people out there, and you can't protect them from people that'll later on tease them, especially like in the movies, diba? Ganun yung mga movies yung mga
Or
tease them.
ampun ka lang, mga ganyan.
Yeah, yung mga ganun. So parang to me, at least if ever, thankfully that hasn't happened to him, but if ever it does, at least he can be like, okay, so what's wrong with that? Hindi yung yung gano'n, like at least yung reaction niya, parang he's mayabang pa about it. So parang, okay, so my parents love me, so what's wrong with that? Parang gano'n. That's what we wanted to do with him, which is achieved naman.
Oo, nakakatawa nga sa kanya, inuunahan niya pa eh. Wala nang mga aasar sa kanya kasi inuunahan niya na yung mga tao.
Napikon kasi parang
Oo.
naniniwala sa
Well,
kanya.
guys, I love how again how open you have been with your children about it, and how using your platform to raise awareness about adoption. I guess what advice I guess would you say to those families who probably have adopted are considering adoption, but they're worried about how to talk to their child about it. Kasi let's say si Ian kasi 'di ba, Kim ano na siya, more than a year old now. What about for those families na baby in a way and they don't know how to talk about adoption to their kids? Would you have any practical tips on how to talk about adoption to their kids?
I think the most important thing, before they talk to the child is one, pray about it as a couple, and because it's something that Edge and I did that, we just pray that, when we talk to Ian, even before we came out with the adoption story, we wanted to talk to him, because he was at the age where, he had a better understanding, and we wanted, it to be as clear as possible, but at the same time helping him to understand and explaining to him how much he meant to us and how much we loved and cared about him, and that it didn't matter that he didn't come from mommy's tummy. He had a different tummy mommy, but he was an answered prayer to us. And so I would just encourage couples to pray about it and to be honest. That's
Yeah.
one thing, with Ian being 8 now, we wanted to be completely honest and open to him, and at the same time still being sensitive to his age,
Yeah.
because he is still very young. But doing our best to help him understand that even though he didn't come from LJ's tummy, it didn't matter. He was somebody that we prayed for, and God blessed us with him, and that's why he's a part of our family. And so, because it can be a very tough and sometimes complicated conversation, because I think as parents, you're looking for the right words to explain to your child relative to their age to help them understand. But that's why I think it's important that you just pray about it as a couple, and then again, just be honest and speak from your heart. And I think if you do that, and again, you constantly remind your child how much he or she is loved and cared for, and how much he means to us and our family, I think parents and couples will be fine.
That's so beautiful. Gabi, I love everything that comes out of your mouth. It's so amazing. And one more thing, Jimmy, because even LJ mentioned earlier, it's also from my personal experience, a lot of families are hesitant to adopt because it's the husband who feel like, oh, I don't think I can give that much love, or to love that person as my own, or baka mabawasan yung pagkalalaki ko if I adopt right now. I guess, could you just speak out to those dads right now or having those inner conflicts about adoption, feeling that they're unable to love another child as if it was their own?
No, absolutely. I think to the dads. Sorry. Sorry. There you
Yes,
go.
Kaylin.
Okay.
Sonjia, I think to the dads and the husbands who are tuning in, I think the important thing for us as men, as husbands, as dads, is to not be afraid to open your heart, because again, you're speaking from someone's perspective who again wasn't opposed to the idea of adoption, but just kind of felt like, hey, let's try to start our own family, and then if it's a choice that we make down the road, then hey, that option is always available to us. But again, by us bringing Ian into our family, I mean, it was a huge blessing to our family, and I think that's the most important thing for the husbands and the dads, just to open your heart to the idea, because I think if you do that, then you at least start a conversation, and then who knows what that conversation would lead to. I would encourage the husbands, to pray about it, with your spouse and even by yourself, and and try to find that space for yourself to think, hey, am I really open and committed to doing it? Because that's probably the one thing you wouldn't want to do as a parent or as a husband or a dad, is go into the adoption process with one foot in, because that will just create, you know, a bunch of problems later on, not just for the couple, but more so for the child. So any, you know, again, for the men, for the husbands, the dads who are listening, you know, again, I just encourage them to open their heart and pray about it, you know, have conversations with their spouse about it, but commit to it if it's something that is really something that's speaking to your heart.
And you can take the adoption seminars to know more. At least like to get more knowledge about it.
And again, you know, Sonjia, I think for me, having been in the Philippines for so long, you see it. You see it every day. You see it every time you step out of your house, your apartment, your condo, how many kids need homes. And how many kids need families and need to be loved.
You just go to the shelters, it's like overflowing.
Yeah, and you go to the shelters and it's, you know, they're overflowing with kids, and it's like you almost feel bad because you want to help all of them. So, you know, in your own way, you know, you do the best you can. So, you know, again, I hope that, you know, the men who are tuning in and watching, you know, at least become more open to the idea and aren't afraid of at least starting the conversation. Because I know for me, speaking from someone, you know, as a man, as a professional athlete, as a former professional athlete, as a coach, it's changed my life forever for the better. You know, I hope that more men would be open to the idea, because so many kids need it.
That's so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. I guess for our last question for you guys, you know, you've been, first of all, thank you so much for opening your hearts to us. Not only have you opened your heart in your own home, but opening your hearts to all of us right now and sharing this beautiful story and this beautiful journey. I guess, you know, so many families also, so we have so many families watching and volunteers and advocates here with us today. And I guess for those watching who want to play a more active role in orphan care and adoption, can you share any practical tips on how they can be involved? Because some of them are single, but they want to advocate for orphan care and adoption, and how advocating for orphans and adoption can be so powerful.
Yeah, for those that are single, there's one thing pala. I get a lot of questions now. If you're single, can you adopt? Yes, you can. Another option also, if you're not ready for adoption yet, I think I know in the Philippines, we need a lot of foster parents or foster care, because a lot of people aren't open to fostering because baka ma-attach daw or something. But I think it's something that we should think about, because you know, when you go to the shelter, when you carry the babies, pag binaba mo, diba, they cry right away because not all of them are used to being carried. So it's still different when they're cared for at home. So that's one thing also, aside from adoption, yung fostering, like consider being foster parents as well. Because like Jimmy said, there's so many babies that needs homes, and yun nga, even if it's through fostering, na you can, you can share your love for that child. That's such a big thing na talaga. Because yun nga, there's shelters before. There was a shelter before I visited. There were like 24 babies, tapos dalawa lang nagtitake turns pa yung caregiver, diba? So parang, can you imagine, tayo pa lang like with one baby or two babies, parang that's a lot na. But 24 babies and only 2 caregivers. And at the time that I visited, isa lang siya kasi absent yung
isa.
Oo, absent yung isa. So parang that's another thing that we need aside from adoptive parents is foster homes also. So you can be involved in that way, or if you have just friends. I have a lot of friends yung parang they become the bridge. Like they'll introduce to us because they have a friend that's interested in adopting but don't know how. So they know our story, to connect them to us or connect them, like, and then like what we do naman sometimes, when they inquire, I connect them with the people that we know from DSWD or from the shelter, now with the foundation also. Yun.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, guys, for being with us and for spending time with us. I'm sure so many people have been inspired today, and we look forward to watching more of your family's adventures. But for right now, how can our audience connect with your family, connect with you guys? I know you have a YouTube channel. Where else can they connect with you?
Yes, we have a YouTube channel, Alapag Family Fun. So we upload new videos every Wednesday and Saturday. And then every Saturday night, 9 p.m., we go on Facebook Live, Alapag Family Fun, our Facebook page also, so they can visit us there. So we go on for like 20 to 30 minutes. That's why kanina, right before us, hopefully some of them joined us here because we invited them to join us. So, yun. And then my Instagram is the Lolly Cake Chick. Jimmy's is at Alapag3.
Yep.
The boys, yung boys meron na. But syempre managed by my dad. Alapag Boys, Kiona's Instagram is Kiona Sky Alapag. So there, they can connect with us through all that. And we also have Facebook pages. May Facebook ka ba?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Tinanong talaga. Facebook na siya. Ayan. So yun.
Very
Thank you so much.
Yep, thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, well, I know you got some people have thank you again, Jimmy and LJ, and thank you, Kaylin, again for joining us too. Well, I know some questions came in about adoption fees, and even LJ mentioned about foster care and those technical details on how you can be more involved and learn more about adoption and orphan care. And if we here at Rohe Foundation actually do online consultations every week. So if you want to know more about foster care and adoption and about what you can do and be involved in orphan care and adoption, you can sign up for a slot right now. The link is being flashed on your screen. It's bit.ly/RF adoption consultation. So we hope to see you in our online consultations. And again, thank you so much to the Alapag family. We hope everybody that's watching, we hope that you enjoyed our live chat. And we have more live chats coming soon. So we've had series with moms, we've had series with dads, and you can rewatch all those episodes on our website. But this coming Thursday, we're launching a brand new series of live chats, and this time featuring siblings. So please join me for Family is the Answer Siblings Edition. And for the first episode, I will be joined by the I will be joined by the Escazar siblings, Rachel and JD. Again, that's happening this Thursday, November 12, 9 p.m. And do stay connected with us on all our social media platforms. That's at Rohe Foundation. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much, LJ and Jimmy. And thank you so much for watching. I have been your host, Sonjia Calit. See you on our next live chats. Good night, LJ and Jimmy.
Good night.
Bye. Good night.
Bye-bye.
I was telling her, you sort of three dads. You have your biological dad, you know what it means, right? But put in your head, you have your logical dad, and you have your real dad, you know? So doing it this way until eventually, before she was 5, she was asking the questions, and we were able to sort it out really well.
We're here because adoption was God's idea, and we hope the church would catch on to that. And so that's really the heart of the Rohe Foundation.
You will impact generations of people. Because that person will be married, will have children, and children's children. I'll tell you, the impact you make in their lives will impact future generations of people. There are no unwanted children, just unfound families. I hope we can find some of them right here in this room.
This is the truth that the world needs to hear today. That adoption is at the very heart of the gospel.
That adoption is a beautiful thing. It's not plan B. We adopted because we saw just how beautiful adoption was in the Bible.